Right.
Well, even there, I mean,
It costs a little bit more money. And so the cheapest route is the cherry crump route. See what I think. Everybody, if you're here to speak today, you do have to come up here and sign in for it. It's only if you're wanting to speak. All right, you gotta make sure you sign up before we start the meeting. Mitt?
So awkward.
Sure. We're gonna be here a while, so might as well grab you something.
yeah, you,
I got some. I mean, it's going back this way. You want any?
get you through.
Wait here for a second. Hey, it's gonna lose that flavor before the end of this thing. All right, that's right down.
Are
Yeah,
you
all right.
responsible for those? Thank you.
Well, no, I stole from over there. I'm just saying, like, I'll put them in the middle, so like, if anybody needs more, like, we can, we can just slide it at that point. Yeah.
Thought we were past the pollen, but I think the wind has stirred it back up, hasn't it?
There's a little tornado of it out there.
There has been extra pollen this year for all
Lots
of
of
us. It's amazing.
The yellow rivers. Yeah, when it rains, it cracks me up to see, like,
When it rains down your driveway.
yeah, well, this is yellow river, like, you're like, look at that, all right. Caroline thought she goes, somebody beating out in our driveway. It's a yellow water. And I was like, no, it's pollen. Yeah, I mean, I know it's back behind this, but can Chris hear it? Maybe, maybe not. I can keep talking. Hey, Chris, we get the awesome, like, buzzer sound from city council today? Do we get that awesome buzzer noise, for that city council has?
The bell.
The bell. Sorry, the bell.
That's on her computer.
Okay. Yeah. The brrrr.
Ding, 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 ding.
They're not giving you all the power yet.
Yeah, we don't have all that yet. Maybe one day.
Got it.
We typically don't need it.
What?
We typically don't need it.
Yeah, I know. But it was just fun. I mean, it happened the last meeting. It was just like, well, do we get to play, do we get to have the deafening sound of it?
You got to hear it.
Yeah.
Last time at city council.
It's a little scary. You're like, what in the world?
How you been?
Good.
All right. Once again, before we start, if you are going to wish to speak on any of the proposed things on the agenda, you must sign in up here. If you're not signed in when we start the meeting, that you will not then be allowed to speak. All right? Now, somebody roasting the microphone.
Trees piling up like snow.
It is. It is.
That assistant city manager, they didn't put their stuff there. You need more, or are you good?
I think that's good. Since it was still a few minutes, sometimes you have some.
Oh, it's not. That's just wrong. That thing's just back. It's behind on the time. Yeah, it's 4 o'clock. All right. Beat it. Just roll.
Yeah.
No, it's Board of Adjustment.
I mean,
No, no.
okay, that was for this
Oh, it's funny.
Auntie, yeah.
I thought he was moving.
You should sit
Give me a gavel. You can
Yeah,
hang it for
come
me
on,
if you
go
want.
for it. Let's roll. It's 4:01.
So we're going to call the Board of Agenda meeting to order, April 15th, 2025. All 5 regular members are present. I would ask the board to direct their meetings to the minutes from last month and entertain a motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. So before we start the public hearing, I have to read this statement. So does everyone hear me okay? The Board of Adjustment is a quasi-judicial body. State statute requires that the board base its decisions only on testimony given under oath. The board's decision in this matter is final in that they do not go to the city council as a recommendation. Any quasi-judicial decision made by the board that is contrary to your wishes can be appealed to Superior Court. So with that being said, we will call the first case, BOA 42025, application from Stanley Stokes. Go ahead, Ashley.
So we do have to, is Mr. Stokes here? Okay, come on up. You'll get to be sworn in again.
You can place your left hand on the Bible and your right hand in the air. Do you swear to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God? I do. Thank you.
You can have a seat right there for now. All right. As you may recall, we tabled this from last month. It was the application from Stanley Stokes requesting a variance to section 153.107 B24 of the Lincolnton Unified Development Ordinance. If granted, the variance would allow for an encroachment of the new structure upon the front setback and an existing structure upon the rear setback requirement of the R10 district. The property is located at 801 North Grove Street, parcel ID 17036. Again, so you're familiar with the area, this is the parcel in question. It is currently a single-family residential home. It was a previous duplex until that use was abandoned. It is adjacent to single-family residential, and this property across the creek is GMC. We have the street view from Brookside and the intersection of North Grove. And here's an updated version of that. These are a little difficult to get with the traffic on Grove Street. Brookside Drive from September of 2023, and then a current, more zoomed-in view of that. And then the intersection of Brookside Drive and Grovedale, September 2023. As well. Now, I do want to go ahead and say, as we get further in to the case, we did note that this building that is in the center here, the red building, would need to be moved to a property with a principal structure. I have gotten pictures that it has been moved. We haven't done a physical inspection yet, but I did want to go ahead and bring that up while you can see it on your screen. All right, so the previous proposal had a rear setback here of 0 feet, and that rear property line would be touching the home. And he had, from the beginning, asked for the 20-foot setback on the new lot. You can see here there is a rear setback of 10 feet. Now, R10 requires 25 feet in the rear, 35 feet in the front, which is why the reason for the variance today. So, again, I broke it down by his property, the flood area that is existing, the sewer lines and easements that are in the way there, and then the yellow area if none of this existed, would show what the property, like building envelope would be. However, as we're aware, there are some issues. So when I go to the next one, you can see now he has the 10 foot from the existing structure on lot 1, 10 feet from the new property line for the new construction, and 20 feet here. That does keep him right along the edge of those easements, but is the only buildable area on the property. So our notes from the previous were, if granted, the following required before the final plat could be approved. Again, the building shown on lot 2 must be removed, and that when it is moved to lot 1, it must meet all the location requirements, and then the notation of the variance information on the plat. Then we go to the findings of fact with responses from the applicant. And if you would like me, I know we read through these quite a bit last meeting. I'll be glad to if you need a refresher. Otherwise, you have those.
I'm good.
All right, and I can leave those up for you as we go through. So then we just have to vote on each of the findings of fact and then one final motion. But I will pull this back up. And I also, if this is better for you guys, I just pulled up the comparison here from what it was before with the no setback there to what he has proposed this go around.
Can you go back to like the one slide where you had it listed of what the
What's
requirements
required?
are? Yeah, and what-
Absolutely. This one?
Yes. All right. So when we say minimum front yard setback, it's supposed to be 35. This would make it down. It's 20, right? Currently, and then you have the ones for the minimum yard setbacks. It's supposed to be 25, and it's going to go from 0 to 10.
The new lot with the 20-foot setback, I don't know, John may be familiar, maybe a few others, if you've driven through there, there is quite a slope there. So it's not like even moving it forward, you're going to be on the road. There are some topography issues. I mean,
Gotcha.
in addition to floodway easements and the others.
It's a very restricted building footprint.
It is. And we did ask about potentially lessening those sewer easements, but due to the size of the line and then not being able to go the other direction because of the flood area, soils, all of that, they did have to keep that width.
I mean, if he wanted to, could he combine these two parcels into one?
Well, it is one parcel currently.
It is? Okay.
He's trying to subdivide.
It's because he's trying to.
yes,
subdivide.
so
Okay,
if you-
I want to make sure of it.
Yeah, so this here is the line for the lot for the existing home. That would be lot 1.
Mm-hmm.
And then everything this way, all the way to here and back around, is lot 2. His lot does this I'll say back property line, but what would be the rear is actually deeded to the center of the creek. Which is unusual, but that is where it stands. So that's why there's such a large flood area here, because you do have to have the non-encroachment areas and buffers and that sort. But yeah, he has this home here, and he can go over it a little bit more if you'd like, about him building a home on this property.
So the blue lines designate the floodplain.
Mm-hmm.
The yellow lines designate the build envelope with the existing setbacks.
Yeah, so if the floodway wasn't there or the gray sewer easements weren't there, that would be the buildable area for this lot.
The red line that you had on the other slide is if we approve this subdivision.
If you approve it, that's where he will be able to build, because the 35 feet is further back. I mean, it doesn't give him much area at all. This is with the 20 feet.
Okay.
And the original larger house, it's a conforming lot. With it divided, it conforms as well.
Other than that rear setback, which is for the variance. Cause he's not asking for less than 10 feet on the new lot, which would be the side setback here. However, the way it's conformed, this is the rear setback, which would normally need to be 25 feet.
So the side versus the rear is different.
And then the size of the
The lot area is
Lot
completely
is
fine, the
conformed,
width is
okay.
fine, yep, all of that, conforms to the regulations, it's just, the setbacks themselves.
Okay.
Got it. Any other questions for Ashley?
I don't have any.
And then, did you have any questions for the applicant?
Mr. Stokes, do you have anything that you wish to add to what Ashley has said?
No, she was very thorough.
Okay.
It's been a great deal of time with it on last meeting, so it's a
Yeah,
nice thing. We don't.
Since I wasn't here last week, so
Yeah.
I'm catching up a little bit, but is everybody satisfied as far as the understanding on the?
I am.
Has anyone signed up to speak on this particular case?
I don't believe for this one, I think they were all for planning board. Greg Bradley for this case?
So, I think we're done asking questions. We'll go ahead and close the public part of the hearing, and we'll take a few minutes to discuss it with the board.
Yeah, I mean, you were here for it, so I mean, what, do you need us to help you
Yeah,
get up
can
to
you maybe
speed?
catch me up?
Yeah, so I mean, he went from 0 setback, like putting it on the line.
Okay.
And, you know, it was, and because it's 2 parcels now, it's like, that really wouldn't be fair to say somebody else who came in and bought it and be like, okay, I mean, to be right up on it, yeah, it's like, can you give us a little bit of room? And that's,
Yeah.
they had gone, you said, through many iterations of like trying to figure out how to construct something onto that piece of property.
Right.
This was kind of the final, after 20 of them, I think is what it was.
Yeah, and the easements are not easy to find because they are so old. So I don't think he had an idea of the width of those. He may have seen a manhole or two, but outside of that, I don't think he had an idea of the actual size of those when purchasing the property.
And the point is, because he says he wants to build like just a one-level home, make it easier for them in and out, right?
Sure.
Yeah, more of a retirement.
Okay.
Yeah.
Use
'Cause
current
the-
home as a rental.
Got it. Got it. Okay. So we have to, we do one motion on all 4 findings.
So, yeah, you'll go through the first finding of fact, and vote on it, second, third, fourth, and then one final motion.
All right, so finding of fact, number 1, unnecessary hardship would result from the strict application of the ordinance. It shall not be necessary to demonstrate that in the absence of the variance, no reasonable use can be made of the property.
So make a motion. We do that now?
So do I hear a motion on whether the first finding of fact is satisfying?
I'll find the first finding of fact in the affirmative.
All in favor?
Aye.
Second finding of fact, conditions peculiar to the property. Do I have a motion on the second finding of fact?
So move.
All in favor?
Aye.
And the third finding of the hardships not taken by actions by the property owner. Do I have a motion on number 3?
Moved.
All in favor? Aye. Number 4, consistent with the ordinance. Do I have a motion on number 4?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
So 4 findings have been found approved by the board. We'll take, hear a motion to approve the case as presented.
Yeah, make a motion with staff recommendations for their approval.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
All right, thank you very much.
That's our last case. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Adjourn.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.
So you are approved. I will be I'll send you a letter with all of the information
What?
within the next couple of days.
No, that's yours. I have a different one.
What's that?
switch so y'all can
Oh,
put the
you don't
gavel
want to
over
be
there.
the messenger.
Right.
She doesn't want to feel the power.
One of y'all might slip.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
Ashley gets situated.
Which one?
But we'll just go through the zoning text amendment. I mean, it's already there. It won't take us more than a couple minutes and, yeah. All right, I'm gonna call the planning board meeting to order, for April 15th, 2025. I'll ask the board to direct their attention to the minutes of the previous meeting and entertain a motion, for approval of said minutes. Have a
I
motion?
make a motion to approve as presented.
All right, I have a motion for approval. All in favor? Aye. All right, motion is approved. I will now go to open the public hearing. Oh, I forgot to mention that we do have one member not here. John Boy, sorry. But we do have quorum with 6 of the members present. All right, so open the public hearing. We're gonna call the first planning board case, which is ZTA-2-2025. Zoning text amendment to chapter 153 Unified Development Ordinance.
Thank you very much. You get to hear from me again. So I can go over the background, but we have, as you've known over the last several months, going through the ordinance to the best of our abilities within state law about changes that can be made. So we have several sections that are very similar in nature as far as processes go. As far as preparing the plats, the application for it, what is required, the review process, and any expiration. However, through changes over the years, they are all in a different order. So to be as consistent and concise as possible, we have rearranged a lot of those so that the steps go in an order where you can find them a little more easily. In addition to that, we have sections where we have updated with state statutes and changed the wording to make it a little easier to read. So I can start with the first one and go through these if you'd like. For definitions, let's see. We started with subdivision. So we've added in this yellow portion that goes over the exceptions. That part is because these are not exempt from review, but the subdivision regulations don't apply. So we wanted to have a specific name for that in our ordinance, like many of the surrounding area towns do. That way, when someone comes to submit a plat for review, if it is one of these, we can tell them right off the bat, it is this type, and these are the guidelines. For major and minor, state statute does not have a definition of what makes a subdivision major or minor. We have taken out the 10-acre requirement for major, and that is because we are finding more parcels of land that people are subdividing in maybe larger quantities. So there may be a 15-acre tract, and the 10 acres would make it a major subdivision. However, if they're leaving it to their family, should they really have to give a fee in lieu of or dedication of land or give us some of that? Probably not. So that was meant more for PRD when it was a special use to add extra steps in the process. We no longer use it in that way, and over time, this has just been missed. So we wanted that to be corrected. And then down here at number 4, that part of the ordinance in our definition is from 160D Article 8. That one was removed because it was a bit confusing. So state statute says here that for these types 4 and below, that we can require just a plat if we would like. We may require just the plat. That doesn't line up with our process. So we've had developers and surveyors question that over time, and because it is a statute, it is still applicable, but not in the way that we have it written. So we were just taking that out. to make it more understandable. And then again with the others here. Okay, 382, 384, 385. Those were all the ones that were reorganized. In addition, 385, we did add, and I hate doing this to y'all, I'm going to go through this pretty quick to get down here.
How often is the state statutes changing? Y'all have to go back and do, because how many?
Well, it depends. So it depends on how our part is written, because even if it's not updated, that trumps what we have here. Like it's, but we don't want conflicting information if we can avoid it. One thing to note here. Okay, 153384. In your packet, it would have said, let's see, it's not letting me click on it right now, but it said procedures instead of review. The others were changed to review, and we just want to keep that as simple as possible. So for 385, we did add, get here, this section. Effective plat approvals on dedications. And this is straight out of statute. That way it's cut and dry. They know what they have to do after this is all done. That way the process is pretty clear. Past that, this PUD and PRD section was, again, when it was a special use. So they would allow design standards to be changed outside of R8, R15, however it was broken down. However, PRD is now its own section. It's its own conditional district, so this is not necessary. And then because of that, we had to take out the waivers and modifications for that section because the section's being removed and we don't need a link to it. So outside of that, we have our consistency statement and approval statement. But if you have any questions for me, I'll be glad to go over those for you.
Anybody have any questions for Ashley at this time about all the? I think I looked it up, and I think there's over 100 different bills right now in reference to, like, zoning right now.
So that's why they don't get changed immediately, because a lot of these are redacted, things are appealed, over time. So we're not trying to get in front of it, but because there were so many changes in a time period, it wasn't adjusted, and it's let's go ahead and fix this. Let's fix this, but then it's not. It's you're jumping.
Domino effects.
Yes,
Yeah.
you're jumping back and forth, and we don't want to make the process any harder. We would like clear, step by step. This is what you need to do to get to the end. So
Gotcha.
that's what this is. There, like I said, there was a little bit of a change as far as adding a section to the end, but again for clarity.
I have just a couple of questions. On the minor developments, the sketch plan is optional. Why would we make it optional? Why wouldn't we do it either that it's not or it is?
So, with the final plat, a lot of that comes into play with the surveyor. You have to bring in a surveyor, and every time you make a change, you're getting charged for that. A lot of times, like in Mr. Stokes' case, he came to us with a plan, sketched it out. Is this doable? So we can give him advice on that up front instead of him going through the whole process and revising it repeatedly. And a lot of times we do take the initial survey of the land as it is right now and sketch that out. So we do have correct dimensions of the lot. But for a minor, it doesn't go through as many steps as a major would. So this gives us, it saves some time and some money on the applicant's part.
I guess it's just the issue of optional, and it seems like we'd either have it or we wouldn't. So that was just a comment.
Yeah, and it's just some lots are more complex than others. If it's a straight, I have plenty of land, I'm going to divide it in two. You really don't need that sketch plan. However, if you're avoiding easements and other things that, with the property, it's better just to talk through it with us first and see, make sure it works.
And then in improvements and waiver sections, we talk about the planning board having responsibilities, but it's unclear if in any of those cases that the planning board has final say, or in all of those cases, does the city council have final?
So for the improvement guarantees, that is council, because those are bonds.
Right, I got that, but there were others mentioned that the planning board could,
So for those, yes.
and it was unclear if the process is, does it end with the planning board as stated there, or does it then go to the council for final approval?
Right, so if it does not, and so city council, is authorized to approve for improvement guarantees, oversized improvements, or dedication of land or fees in lieu of. However, anything else, would be to you guys, or myself, so, okay. It's mine, because it's already been approved at a preliminary level, because this one's final. So if for some reason I felt like there's something on here that I don't feel like I should approve without some input, then I have the option to go with Stafford or TRC, which is to look over infrastructure. That is to look over fire. It would be police. It is any of the committee's members who have an input in the early stages. Then I can defer it to them or to you guys. So I believe all of the approvals processes, I have the option to defer it to you guys.
And when you say us guys, the planning board,
The planning
and
board.
would our decision be
And then yours
final?
would be final because mine would be final in that.
Gotcha.
And can you explain the reason why that is? Because you have an obligation / like you are responsible, right? And like
Yes, when
because
there
you have a
is-
license to this, and like
We are plat review officers, so that is something that has to go before council and county commissioners and be recorded. So that would still stand. However, for subdivision administrator, that is something that we sign off on. Watershed, we have several different signings on a plat that have to be completed before it can be recorded with the Register of Deeds.
because you're that officer, you're fully responsible. If say something didn't happen properly, it falls back on you. You're the one who
Right,
can
because
be,
I should make sure everything that you guys would have approved, either board, would have approved in the preliminary part, has not changed by the time it gets to the final. I have to make sure, because the preliminary allows them to start grading, start putting in infrastructure, start the process. They cannot build on those lots, or record the plats, the individual parcels, until we sign off on it. So we have to check to make sure what was approved previously is represented on that plat.
So as it's written, where it says the planning board, it ends, we would be the final kind of arbitrator in that point.
Yeah, unless it involves the
Right.
dedication of land, because the dedication of land, the oversized improvements, the improvement guarantees require extra steps and approvals. So that's why it goes to council and not this board.
And that helps me to clarify as I see it there and why the difference. So thank you for that.
You're very welcome.
all right, any more questions for Ashley? Is there anybody here to speak on a text amendment? Didn't think so. Got to ask it there, right? All right, then I'm going to go and go to board discussion only. Questions, concerns? Good question on it. And I'm glad Ashley was able to.
I
explain it a little
appreciate all
further.
the questions.
Yeah.
Well, and I think as a member of this board, it helps me to understand when other issues come to us, what our responsibility is, where it ends with us, where it doesn't. So thank you for that. I appreciate it.
All right. If there's nothing else, I'm going to close the public hearing, and I'll entertain a motion for approval of the Text amendment.
I make a motion to approve with staff recommendation.
I have a motion. All in favor? Aye. Motion passes. Thank you, Ashley. All right. Now we're gonna go back to where all the fun is today. We're gonna go to CZ-3-2025. Application from Greenway Residential Development LLC requesting a conditional district rezoning of approximately 8.7 acres of land from the planned business district to planned residential development. The subject properties are located on the east side of South Generals Boulevard and the west side of Jerry Crump Road. Approximately 150 feet south of the intersection of Jerry Crump Road and Country Club Road. It's parcel ID 55158, 18143, 18170, and a portion of 55187 on the other side of the road. Gene, it is yours, ma'am.
The portion, well, we'll talk about it when we get to it, but the portion's on the same side of the road.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the way it split. Sorry, that's my fault.
That's okay. So what you'll see here, what's outlined in red is the property that we are talking about. It doesn't reference any portion of the property on the other side of the road.
That's my fault.
This existing, as you can see in the green, is planned business currently. The proposed development is proposing a planned residential development. The current use of the lots are vacant, and the proposed use would be a 60-unit apartment complex. This is just an aerial to kind of give you an idea. I've got the Google one, but this will just show you the VFWs here. There's a lot of vacant land around there, neighborhoods. Let's go back to this. So you can look at the zoning. There's a variety of zoning here. The purple is office institutional. This is residential, like R15. This is R15. This is RMF. Below is still office institutional, this purple, but that is multifamily. This will just give you an idea because it just shows the businesses sometimes. So, you know, Muncie's is on this corner, Mom's Sub Shop, the Dollar Tree, the Dollar General in that shopping center. Currently, planned business, these are all the uses that are permitted by right in planned business. And planned business does say also all uses permitted in 153.113A. I'm not going to read through them because there are so many, but just to give you an idea, everything that's listed here could go into that site without coming before planning board or city council. They are permitted by right. And there's a page 2. So these are the rest of the uses. Do y'all need a minute with that?
Yes, please.
This is just a street view from Jerry Crump. It's the land that's this direction. The VFW is on the other side. It's just another, same thing, Jerry Crump Road, another street view. This is from South Generals Boulevard. You can see the Muncie's. It's the land past Muncie's. Just another view so you can kind of see that bank. I'm going to switch screens just because you can see it better if we go with this version. It's the same plan, I just can't zoom in on that PowerPoint presentation. So this is what the site plan would look like. The entrance is off of Jerry Crump Road. This would be a three buildings in this for a total of 60 units. It lists on here. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit because as I get older, I cannot read the fine print anymore. I don't know if any of y'all are struggling with that as well. There would be 12 one-bedroom units, 32 bedroom units, and 18 three-bedroom units. They would have over 112 parking spaces. They would have some improved common open space. They have a clubhouse. They have a little, it looks like a play area. They have some benches. There's a mail kiosk. There are dumpsters to this end because it would be a private road and city would not provide trash service, so they would have a private service for that. As you can see, the land around there, these properties are already planned business, planned business, planned business. There is some floodplain that they're working with. They are staying out of those areas. I'll switch back to my report now. As you know, the Technical Review Committee meets on these plans and review it. We looked at it once in January and once in March. All the comments that are listed here, I can go through them if you need me to, but have y'all read over them? Because you've got your city planning comments, you've got your Lincoln County erosion control comments, city water resources, which is water and sewer, NCDOT's looked at the project, the Lincolnton Fire Department, and the City Public Works.
What did DOT, do you have their,
No driveway permit would be required because it's not NCDOT road, Jerry Crump, and he didn't feel like any off-site improvements would be warranted. Typically, they'll require a traffic impact study if it would generate more than 600 trips per day out of the complex. They felt like it came in around 500, and it didn't warrant a traffic impact study.
and that was DOT's? Okay.
This is from the land use plan. So you can see that this is currently shown in the planned business planning area, which that is a planning area for the large majority of commercial uses outside of downtown are likely to occur in these areas. They are designed to be the city's destination shopping areas, and they encompass most larger shopping centers and commercial areas along the city's major corridors. So staff does not feel like this project would be consistent with the land use plan, and if it was approved, the land use plan would be amended to the residential high-density planning area. And you can see, if you see this light green here, and this light green here, and those down there, that's what those areas are. And so, you know, we go through the land use plan and we look at what it says and we look for strategies to give you a path for either approval or denial. So the land use plan does designate this in planned business, as I stated, and it's not consistent. However, residential high-density planning areas aligns with the objectives outlined in the land use plan to promote a diverse mix of well-maintained rental housing units for various income levels. It also supports the land use plan strategies to allow different housing types, including apartments, duplexes, individual rentals, including accessibility and affordability. Furthermore, it meets the strategies to ensure development that complements the surrounding areas through thoughtful design, building orientation, and parking considerations. The rezoning would be both reasonable and in the public interest, addressing housing demand while maintaining community character. If you were to choose to deny this, the land use plan also has objectives that protects planned business areas, which would be to maintain commercial areas along key corridors, support compact pedestrian-friendly and mixed-use developments, preserve existing commercially zoned land rather than converting it to residential use, and concentrating commercial activity in well-planned areas to avoid sprawl and inefficient use. Any questions for me on this?
Yeah, for myself, sorry, if you go back to the slide 14.
Land use
All
plan?
right, so the light green is already in the residential high density.
The lime green, the darker
Lime,
green where the
sorry,
property, you
sorry.
see where the property's, it looks kind of like a butcher knife
Yes.
or
Yeah.
in
okay.
red, that is planned business. This lighter lime green, like Arbor Run Drive, and up here to the north of the property, and then down here to the southwest of the property, those are residential high-density areas.
Now, I like going to residential high density. What is the requirements? I mean, I know we're talking about a 60-unit apartment complex. Does switching over to this? I mean, that's what it falls into. I mean, I'm just wondering, could it be increased any, or if we go this route,
Development, this is a conditional rezoning. So the site plan that they submit, which is this plan here, and their density, because it's listed on here, let's just look real quick. I can't remember the number off the top of my head, so I apologize for that. The proposed density is 7 dwelling units per acre, for a total of 60 units. They're doing PRD, which requires, I think they've got right around 9 acres. They're required to leave 50% of that open space. So when you look at this plan, do you see all that green? That's either trees that will remain or screening that will be planted. And they can't increase this number of units without coming back through the public hearing process, notifying neighbors, and coming back to you guys with a different plan. And I do have some current pictures of some developments that they've done if y'all want to see those.
yes, please.
Okay, so this is Evergreen Landing Apartments. This is the same developer. They built this in 2010 in Gastonia. It's off of Cox Road. In 2010, the tax value on that land was $37,000. It's now $5.3 million, and these photos were all taken yesterday. So to just give you an idea of what the community looks like. And keep in mind, this is a 15-year-old community. That's the little clubhouse. That's just the backside of the clubhouse, so you can kind of see the greenery, playground. This is one they did in Charlotte. It's Whitehall Crossing. These pictures were actually taken on Saturday. This was built in 2017, so this one's 8 years old. The tax value of the land before they started their project was $687,000. Now it's $7.6 million. And so this is an 8-year-old project, just to give you an idea of what it looks like. Any questions for me? Anything else you've got?
You know if the developer requested or applied for tax credits on this property?
He's here and he can answer any questions
Okay.
if you would like.
Okay, good.
Well, any more questions for Gene?
I can come back up if you
Right,
like.
but just at this moment, anything? Okay, thank you. Since you are here, sir, we'll give you the floor. I'm sure you, well, you're outside. Just state your name and your address, please.
My name is Mark Richardson, and I'm with Greenway Residential. My personal address or the business?
You can do the business.
This is 14120 Ballantyne Corporate Place in Charlotte, North Carolina. Your question was, have we applied for tax credits? We are looking to do that this year, and the good news, this year, it goes up to 80% median income, which is basically a lot of, for a 3-bedroom, a family of 4, that could go up to a salary of close to $80,000 for somebody that can't afford a house, but they could rent one of our units.
And so for the development, the plan, the tax credit units, if you would get them, would be what, 10% of the property, or what percentage would you get?
The whole property would be a tax credit to help build the development. But we would promise to keep the rents kind of at that 60% to 80% median income of Lincoln County.
For the whole development, not just a portion of the development? Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you go, it's your presentation time. We'll hold our questions until later.
Like I said, Aspen Ridge, our proposed name, we are only going to do 60 units. It's not 60 units per acre. It's 60 units, kind of that 7 unit per acre development. They're a mix of 12 ones, 32s, 18 threes. There is a demand for, we have a market study. There is a demand of over 2,000 units in our primary market area that would be for renters. And we're only supplying 60 units. So we're only covering a 2.7% capture rate. I did have a traffic email, not an official traffic study, that shows, I think Gene showed what's proposed out there. I mean, the current zoning will allow all those businesses. So if you took a restaurant and put it there, they would have over 1,800 trips over what we would do. Our trips are about 480. A restaurant would be over 2,000 for that day. Peak hours are more like that restaurant would be close to 200 trips over what we do. The density, I already said, we're only about 7 units an acre. Current zoning will allow all those businesses. With my zoning, you know what I'm doing, 60 units and no more. We have over about 25 developments. We have a manager on site. We do background checks, criminal checks, all on our tenants. We got to go through a lot of compliance with the tax credit. So we're doing more than what a normal market rate apartment complex is doing. And I'm here for any questions.
Yeah, does anybody have any questions for me right now? I guess we'll give you the chance. How many people do we have signed up currently to speak? None. Yeah, and we'll let you come back and.
I did send out, working with staff, city staff, we did a radius of 200 feet and sent out just a letter saying what I'm trying to do at the end of March, when I knew that Neighbors were meeting. We went ahead and set up a neighborhood meeting, which will be next week. And that went out to a 500-foot radius.
Okay.
Was there,
All right, well, if they send it out, you may send it out Thursday, so. Remember, it's for the 500 foot. So not everyone in this room is gonna get that. You have to be within 500 feet of the actual piece of property.
You say 500 foot?
Radius.
500 foot radius, sorry.
So no one but me.
No, he's got one. Great. So if y'all are interested in that, I mean, I'm sure he can share that with us.
I can be invited.
Yeah. So we can,
Yes, it is next Wednesday at the Lincoln County Senior Service Center, 5:30 to 6:30. And it went out to 29 properties.
could I ask, was there consideration of having the entrance on General Boulevard versus,
We could look at that. The problem is there's so much rock, and I don't know if North Carolina, that's a North Carolina road, obviously, Generals.
right?
I don't know if they like to have an entrance off Generals. So we felt it would be easier to come off Jerry Crum.
So you hadn't really explored
We
that?
haven't pushed it, but I think we would run into so much rock trying to come down. There's a lot of elevation change.
Okay.
And a creek as well.
Thank you.
all right, yeah, we'll call you back up here to let you address any of the things that are brought to our attention during the public hearing side of this. Since we do have 9 people, we are gonna limit everyone to 3 minutes for their speaking time. We will, I believe, Gene, you said you're gonna keep the time?
Oh, yeah.
Well, was it, you were, I got you. So,
You wanted the bell.
I mean, hey, I can do it. I got it right here. It's not a problem. So, and so how we'll go in order. You'll just come up here, you'll state your name, your address, and then the clock will start, and, all right?
Christopher Kilby. Christopher Kilby.
Yeah, just go to, yeah, right there. Just state your name and address.
Christopher Kilby, 109 Saddle Tree. Good evening, esteemed members of the Lincolnton Planning Board. My name is Christopher Kilby. I speak on behalf of a unified community group opposing rezoning application CZ3-2025 for a 60-unit apartment complex. On April 14th, we held a community forum. We've organized it ourselves since we didn't receive any sort of notification, attended by a sizable body of Lincolnton's residents. At that meeting, we discussed the community's deep concerns, united in our opposition to this rezoning, and recognized the urgent need for greater proactivity such as a 5- and 10-year development plan. Our concerns with this rezoning applications are centered around 6 critical issues: worsening traffic and infrastructure, strain on our schools, threats to property values and neighborhood character, economic and fiscal imbalances, public health and safety risks, and the glaring lack of proactive city planning guiding the growth of our wonderful city. The first 5 points will each be addressed by one of the 6 dedicated speakers from our group who are going to speak after me, volunteers who will provide compelling evidence and demands to protect Lincolnton's future. Together, the residents of Lincolnton stand united in our desire for a no vote on this, as their points will be made clear that this project threatens our community's well-being and identity. Beyond these immediate impacts, we fear this apartment complex won't even serve Lincolnton's residents seeking affordable housing. In nearby Denver and Gaston County, similar developments have been filled immediately with tenants subsidized by Mecklenburg County, as developers have learned to maximize those types of, often drawing from Section 8 or subsidized housing lists, as they've learned to maximize those types of things. We've seen how these projects bring no local tax revenue, add no value to existing communities, and exacerbate infrastructure strain. We cannot allow Lincolnton to become a dumping ground for Mecklenburg's housing challenges, neglecting our own residents while developers profit. I'll now address the 6th concern, the lack of proactive city planning, which has left Lincolnton vulnerable. Without a comprehensive 5 to 10-year plan, we're stuck reacting to these types of proposals at the last minute as citizens, as we saw with last year's denial by City Council of CZ1 2024 in a very similar circumstance. This reactive approach allows developers to exploit our citizens' gaps, prioritizing profit over our needs, leading to gridlock, school overcrowding, and fiscal strain, potentially costing hundreds of thousands annually. Worse, it erodes trust, with studies showing a drop in civic engagement when residents feel unheard. I provide an example 5 and 10-year development plan to demonstrate how proactive planning can transform Lincolnton's future. Simply a starting point to build upon. Now I'll pass it to our 6 speakers, each addressing a vital concern: traffic, schools, property values, economics, and health and safety, detailing why CZ 3/2025 must be rejected. Together, we implore you to listen to our collective voice, representing Lincolnton's heart and soul. This is our chance to reject haphazard growth and demand a vision.
That's your 3 minutes.
Thanks, Trent.
All right. I got it. Let's do it. Okay, good. I'll make it loud.
Bill Powell.
Can I hit the snooze button?
Nope. I'm just gonna let it keep going. It's a lot better than what council has. Yeah, the buzzer of death. State your name and your address.
It's Phil Powell, 117 Saddle Tree. I've been there for 9 years, and the traffic down at Jerry Crump and Dave Warlick is right across, goes diagonally across, and Country Club has been disastrous. I mean, just coming over here today, there were 10 cars lined up on the Country Club to get into the traffic light. And the only accident I've ever had in the 60 years I've been driving, and I grew up in Atlanta, spent 22 years there, was at that intersection. So that intersection needs to be evaluated. There needs to be an independent traffic survey done on how to better organize that intersection. Either more traffic lights or restricted turns or some method. Something needs to be done, and we need to be proactive and not be reckless in our not being proactive. And another concern with this is the stormwater runoff. That creek that runs down past, close, or butts up against this property, runs behind my property, runs from the golf course. That creek gets up frequently to the top of the creek bed. You put more pavement down there, and it's going to dump more water in, it's going to slow the flow down, and the golf course will be flooded before you know it. So those are the 2 concerns I have. There needs to be a stormwater runoff survey, and there needs to be a traffic survey, because it's going to get bad. Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Deborah Walton.
Hello, my name is Deborah Walton. We live at 700 Springside Drive in Lincolnton. We've been here for 6 years. I am a local city and county taxpayer. We are opposed to this project. The schools already are nearing capacity. We're short bus drivers. We're risking overcrowding from an estimated 60 new students. The assessment, we really need an assessment going forward to approve the rezoning without it threatening educational quality. Do we have additional teachers required in the schools? Childcare, daycare services? Do we have adequate resources for special needs children? Mental health care facilities and providers for the new residents? Also, he's talking about the water. We have a lot of natural wildlife in the area. Has the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services been contacted to determine if there are any endangered species on this land? I've lived in apartments when I was young in Charlotte, over 30 years. I know what goes on in apartments. Parties, family get-togethers birthday, Thanksgiving, Christmas, where are all these people gonna park? Where are they gonna park? And like you said, coming over here tonight, we did the same thing. We came in Jerry Crump to try to take a left on Country Club, and we sat there for, I don't know. Yeah. Like I said, we moved here from the Ballantyne area in Charlotte to get away from congestion, and please don't spoil our community. Thank you.
Howard Neal.
Again, Howard Hill, 700 Springside Drive. And like my wife said, we moved here because we thought it was a real nice neighborhood. It's one of the nicest neighborhoods in Lincoln, if not the nicest. And then when you look at what they're proposing to do here, we had an increase in our taxes. Something like that comes along, and I've seen it happen in other areas, even where we lived in Charlotte, the values of your homes drop. And that's something we don't want to see. Building 60 units on 8.7 acres of land, that's 392,000 square feet, or approximately that number. You know, for multifamily housing, our neighborhood is a single family housing, and that's what we'd like to keep. We have good neighbors. We got, everybody in this room, I hope, enjoys their neighbor's silence. But that's something we want to see. Like I said right there, Jerry Crump is a single-family housing. And the high-traffic areas, I got run off the road Saturday on the way coming around the curve down there. People, the road needs to be repaired. It's bumpy, it's wobbly, it don't fit safe conditions. If you're a property owner in that area, if this building, 60 units come in, starts to lower your value, what would make an owner continue to invest in improving their property? We plan on doing some improvement in our yard to make it nicer, make it more expensive. But, you know, if this comes in, we're going to reconsider. I mean, 60 units, we've seen it happen. Like he said, other communities, Charlotte and them, will subsidize the rent to get rid of those type people that come in there and want to live and stay. And it's a transit, in and out, constantly, people in and out, in and out, in and out. So please consider what we're saying. I love this town. I grew up in Bessemer City. And we'd like to keep it like it is. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Josh Mitchell.
I'm Josh Mitchell. I'm at 315 Jerry Crump. I appreciate you taking some time to hear out this cohort of our concerned citizens in our neighborhood there on Jerry Crump. One of the things I'll talk about is ensuring economic and fiscal responsibility. So rezoning from planned business to residential sacrifices commercial revenue. We just saw 2 pages of bullet points of potential businesses that could be in that area. That could cost Lincolnton thousands in annual taxes compared to business owning. Service costs for 60 units, according to the Municipal Research and Services Center, exceeds $100,000 annually. Based on regional benchmarks and demand, the fiscal study that we are asking for a call of action from City Council to commission and fund an independent fiscal impact study to compare the service costs against tax revenue from the proposed complex. and reject CZ 32025 unless benefits are proven. I mean, we've all seen an apartment complex, and I appreciate the photos, and they did look nice. I also own an empty lot next to mine. It's 45,000. If I were to put a house on it, it would also go up by 9 times that, I'm sure. There's 2 houses available on Jerry Crump right now that are around 800, 900,000. So that same benefit we could see if other houses were built in that area. But I yield.
I have a quick question for you though, because you did talk about service costs. What services are you referring to?
For the sewage, the water, the general upkeep of that, the parts of that the city are.
So, from what your research was, is $100,000 that goes into servicing apartment complexes.
Yes, sir. So especially 60 units, that size, the added stress and impact that's going to have on the municipal services. Yes, sir.
Johnny James.
Before my 3 minutes start, if you would, may have this included in your packet.
Yes, sir.
I'm from the south, and I talk a little slower, so I want to get as much on the time as I can.
All right.
This is related to public health and safety.
Your name and address, please.
Excuse me?
Your name and address.
Oh, okay. John James. I live at 645 Heather Drive in the Glen Ridge subdivision. It's located about halfway between Victory Grove Church Road and Country Club Road.
Okay.
I travel that road every day, usually coming to town, and that is where the issue is. So I've chosen to speak to safety first. With 60 housing units in the location where it is, approximately, with the entrance approximately 150 feet from the Country Club Road, that's a potential of 120 cars if you figure 2-car families. And if you see the handout that I had for you, the intersection where this comes out at Jerry Crump Road, make no mistake, that is a 5-point intersection. It's not just the crossway, but it's also Warlick Drive that comes in. Now, still holding this page in your mind, if you would turn to the next page, you can see the heavy traffic that is normal now on Jerry Crump. It's become, on Country Club. It's become a cut through from Boger City at the United Methodist Church over to 150 bypass, where people can get to Cherville or Shelby or wherever they're going in that direction. And this is lined up. This is everyday event except for holidays, Sundays, and that kind of thing. So when you come up to that intersection, when you're exiting Jerry Crump Road, trying to get into town onto Country Club Road, you have to look left to see if cars are coming straight. You have to look right to see if anything's coming down. Of course, they're usually in front of you because they're lined up and you can't get across. Then when you think that you've got an opening, somebody turns right coming from Cherville right into you where you're turning in, or somebody turns left coming from town into the same area. And it puts you at a position. As a matter of fact, if you look at that picture of the overall intersection, you'll see that this was taken with a car kind of crossways from coming off Jerry Crump Road trying to get into Country Club. And that's not an unusual occurrence. It's usually backed up far enough where these cars try to get in behind, they'll turn around and block both lanes trying to get into traffic. So this is really a traffic issue, and I don't know how you can change that intersection to accommodate 120 more cars. I mean, it's tough now, and I'm telling you, this can result in a lot of injury, death, all of the above.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
That's your 3 minutes. Thank you.
Excuse me?
That's your 3 minutes. Yeah, thank you.
The,
No,
I'm sorry.
yeah, that's your time for talking.
Oh, I'm
It's expired. It goes fast when you're up there. I know, it goes fast when you get up there. It's okay.
I would just ask that you turn this down based on your mission statement, which says to protect the citizens of Lincoln County. And I don't think this would protect anything. Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate the time.
John Coniger.
Hit that daggone thing yet.
It's already started. As soon as you start getting up, it already started.
My name is John Cloniger III. I live on 114 Saddle Tree Road. I have lived here my whole life. I lived in the Oak Forest subdivision right off of Jerry Crump for 53 years, which is, right, like I said, right off of Jerry Crump. Have worked here as a general dentist for 32 years, and this community is very close-knit. We have a lot of character, have the small town appeal, charm, and traditions. I'm here with other concerned citizens that want to maintain those traditions and maintain our Lincolnton heritage. By opposing the rezoning for planned residential, then keep it planned business. I love growth, but we need to have conscious growth, balanced growth, sustainable growth, transparent growth, and responsible growth. Responsible growth where it's not a burden to our taxpayers. Also, to maintain our property values. A lot of people here have lived in that area for a very long time, and by God, we do not want our daggone property value to go down. I don't. Outside developer-driven growth without a plan will increase. I can promise you, we need a plan. Greed and profits will overlook welfare, which means it's so important for our leaders to devise a 5 to 10 year plan so we can help assist these developers to ensure economic and physical responsibility. Physical health is the foundation of a thriving community. The area we are discussing is zoned business. Business is essential for growth, boosters jobs and revenue. Eroding these commercial zones could be costly to our city and lost tax revenues. If these 60 units are constructed, we will need the infrastructure to accommodate these things. We'll need our utilities to upgrade water, sewer, electric, upgrade our roads, pedestrian and bike lanes, and most importantly, our traffic management. The freaking traffic out there right now is god-awful. God-awful. And it's going to be a mess. So, the rezoning and project off the Jerry Crump Road is a bad idea. I oppose the rezoning due to the reasons we have heard today. Let's be proactive and have a freaking plan. I love this community. I came back to this community after school. My parents have been on the city council for over 20-some years. And this is worth fighting for. I don't like speaking, I really don't. But when it comes to my little slice of heaven, you're going to see my face. So thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Greg Bradley.
My name's Greg Bradley. I'm at 710 Springside Drive in Lincolnton. And like John, I've lived there since 1991. And I feel like, I've seen a very unbusy road become a busy road. Obviously, the traffic and growth over that period of years has been substantial. And I think about alternatives, as to how that could be balanced. The road entrance or the right-of-way could be sent somewhere else. And obviously, there's not a lot that can be done. A period of time ago, there was the Victory Grove Church Road carried all the way into the Country Club Road. And that was changed with the building of US Highway 321. And obviously that sent all of the traffic turns into a cut-through from Smith Farm Road and everything on the lower end of Victory Grove. And the traffic situation, it started to be noticed at that time. And I think we've made a very clear point here. A number of our homeowners and property owners have made it clear this is not a good thing for the Lincoln County residents of Springside, of Heather Glen, and Oak Forest, and it even puts a further toll on existing traffic of people coming from Smith Farm, from Victory Grove, and it's a very difficult turn to make traffic-wise if you try to turn off of Victory Grove onto Gastonia Highway. So we have some situations that the North Carolina Department of Transportation needs to examine, and I think that the negative impact on the property values with adding a lot more traffic to the highway. No one's going to think of our neighborhoods like they thought of them before. So
That is your time, sir. Thank you.
Richard Spear.
Good evening. My name is Mr. Spear, Richard Spear. I live 138 Boulder Drive. Want to thank you all for taking some comments tonight. Thank the board. My comments, appreciate what the other folks have had to say, but are going to primarily focus on traffic. I've lived at that location for just over 10 years now, and traffic has gone up quite a bit. What we've got to understand is with the development in the county as a whole, 27's gotten a lot bigger. People are taking the cut off 27 down Country Club to cut over. In addition, you put up a number of new housing along Country Club. You put in a new apartment complex by the golf course back there, by the Country Club, which has vastly increased the traffic on that road. When you get down to the intersection there at Country Club and Generals, where you got Jerry Crump coming in, you have a section of road there that's big enough for about 7 vehicles at most, with about 3 vehicles for a left-hand turn lane. Traffic I see backed up all the way to Gamble Drive. That's up near the top of the hill going down into the medical plaza there and the other stuff. In addition, one of the things that's not taken into context in traffic is the amount of emergency traffic. When we think about our normal roads with emergency traffic, that area of Generals Boulevard is somewhat unique in that if you check, and I'm sure the emergency response has that data for you, actual numbers, it's in excess of 300 emergency responses down General to that retirement center down there. I've seen the traffic backed up recently all the way from Gaston Road, which is up by the mortuary, all the way back down to Country Club and continuing on past. So we have a real traffic problem. Gentleman over here brought up an idea that is possible if we're going to go that direction, and that is come up with an entrance on Generals Boulevard or something. But that intersection cannot support it. So something needs to be done with the traffic before that project should ever even be considered. I thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. That's everyone. All right. At this time, you want to speak first, or you want me to open it back up to the developer?
Actually, I have a couple things I would like to address. One, I would like to say it's nice to live in a community where you have this many people that care. And traffic is a concern. So I would like to point out that the ordinance does say, we haven't done this, the city follows NCDOT standards when it comes to traffic. And they look at if it's over 600 trips, that would warrant a traffic impact analysis. We had two different engineers. The developer had an engineer, and then I checked with NCDOT's engineer just to see. The developer's engineer said it was 460 trips. Our NCDOT said it would be about 500 trips that were generated. Planning board could request that the developer do a traffic impact analysis. So I just wanted to point that out for y'all. And then, this doesn't have to do with the project, but I would like to just let y'all have a little bit of information. The city does have a comprehensive land use plan. It was adopted in 2003. It was updated in 2013. It was updated again in 2022. Last year before budget, the city manager asked us to look at money that we would need in the next 10 years. And the one thing I pointed out to him is that that land use plan only gets us to 2030, the 2022 version. And that in 2028, we would need to look at updating that plan once again. And it's on the website for anybody to go look at. There's an interactive map that goes with it. It's on the GIS where you can refer to that as well. I don't know where you got your numbers as far as the impact to the city and expenses and revenue. When it comes to water and sewer, we only maintain to the connection, just like we do for all of the citizens in Lincolnton. It's up to the owner of the property to maintain their private lines. Police and fire did not feel like a 60-unit apartment complex would warrant additional employees. So there would be no extra expense on employees. The revenue right now, based on water usage, sewer usage, like just an approximated amount would be $65,000 a year, and that includes tax values. The tax values would go up, so that revenue would increase once the development was finished. So I just wanted to point out a couple of those things to you. You have valid concerns, and I totally agree with everything, and I just wanted to point out to y'all about the traffic, and that is something that you could do.
Gotcha. How many apartment complexes do we have inside the city? I mean, if you knew, I mean, it's more than 10, right?
A project today, and she couldn't get all the information, but these are the ones she did today. She just started calling around to see what apartment complexes she could get information from. So Colonial Village, she talked to Brenda. Brenda stated they have 314 units, and there are 10 available units right now. The Oaks, which is near y'all, 112 units, there's 2 available. Palisades, they apparently don't provide that information on the phone. Bailey Springs, which is an elderly community, has 0 availability with 46 people on a wait list. And on this 60-unit apartment complex, 6 of those would be ADA accessible. Just a heads up. Colony House had 0 available. Country Club Apartments has 2. And Caroline Courtyard, we couldn't get anybody on the phone. So those were just the ones that we did. So out of those that we called, there are 14 units that are available out of 608.
Gotcha. I mean, I thank you for pulling this data. Because when I asked the one gentleman about service costs, thinking if it's $100,000, I'm like, I can think of like at least 8, maybe 10, if not more, like apartment complexes. I don't think our city manager would. I think he'd be already had a heart attack if we're spending $1 million to give service to, a couple of those for all those combined. I don't think we would have a city that could support those type of costs.
Did you have any more questions for me?
You talked about, can you go to on the show where public utilities made their comments? You made reference to it for when they looked over their staff review.
One of our comments, that property and most of the properties in Lincolnton are in the watershed water supply area. So you're only allowed so much development. So they cannot exceed 70% impervious area on that development. So I just wanted to let you know that that's one of the regulations that we have. And they have to, all the vegetative buffers around the stream have to be left. But Water Resources said that they would need to connect to sewer on South Generals Boulevard. They had 2 options to connect to water. There's a 12-inch line on South Generals or an 8-inch line on Jerry Crump, and that those units would be master metered. Per building, right.
So, but yeah, right. With Todd, he made the comment of it's just connecting to it. There's nothing that needs to be upgraded. There's not anything that's going to.
Those are big lines out
right
in that area. And then I pulled up, if you want, Nathan's for the city. It flat out states that they need a private provider for solid waste. So there's no, city's not picking up their trash. They'll have a dumpster.
I mean, I gotta say,
so there's no expenses there.
I mean, I live over there. I gotta say, I like where their trash can is instead of being at the very front, like the Oaks. Because some days, like the Oaks is kind of overflowing. You drive by and you see trash, and there's this this site plan has it at the very back, so you wouldn't even be able to see that from the road. That is much nicer. Any other questions currently for Gene at this point in time from anybody on the board? Okay. Gene, I don't know if you could help me on this. One of the things that did get brought up was in reference to property values. I don't know if you have anything that if you'll even look at that.
I did look at it. I'm not a realtor, so I can't guarantee that there's no reduction, but what I can show you is what's available online that any of you can go and look at. Any of you can access this information. So for the Gastonia apartment complex that they had, I went on the Gaston County GIS. This area right here, if you look on the screen, is that apartment complex. This is the closest residential area to that. So I just picked 3 random houses. You can check every house in the neighborhood. I only picked 3. But all of those property values, this building complex was built in 2010. So I picked the tax value from 2010 and then the current value. So those have all gone up in that area.
So my next question here, sorry, it's not. I will, I know I can answer this question because I live where you all live. Has our property values been affected negatively by the Oaks?
Well, I looked at that one.
And I asked Gene, and so this is where,
And so in the Oaks was built in 2002. The tax value on that land before the development was. Do what?
But it's right there. But it affects. It's in between both of our neighborhoods. That's the point. All right, thank you. So that's what we're looking at. Is like, how does it affect? When the Oaks got put in, did it negative or positively, affect land value?
Tax value in 2001, what the current tax value is, and then I did the same thing. I just pulled 3 random houses. They have the stars and the parcel IDs, and you can check on any of the houses, but it has what the value was in 2002, what the current value is on the 3 houses that I picked. This one was not built. It was built in 2010, but there were no tax records for 11 through 14.
Okay.
That one's probably increased a little bit.
Hey, so we're not here for commentary at this point. Thank you. All right. Anything else to ask for G from anybody?
I don't have anything. Thank you.
All right. To the developer, do you wish to come back and speak at any point in time to any of the concerns?
Thank you, and I appreciate concerned citizens. What I heard is traffic, but like we said earlier with what is currently zoned, if you put a business there, it's going to bring more traffic from what my traffic study letter has said, that we're going to be less bringing on traffic onto Jerry Crump. Property values, I can send y'all studies that show that that apartments increase values around the neighborhoods.
I would suggest that you bring that to your community meeting to help, so you can show that to the community members that are here.
And then obviously what Gene said, we pay our own water and sewer. We pay it for the tenants, so we're not adding to the city's cost. We'll pay our property tax as well. We're not getting a tax abatement. It's going to be a pretty high property tax bill that we pay. Thank you. I don't know if you have any questions.
If we have the ability to compel you to do a traffic study, do you have a problem just voluntarily asking for one? Or?
I could do one, but I don't know if I could speed it up quick enough for the neighborhood meeting, but hopefully I can have it in time for city council.
What would that include? I mean, if you're going to ask for that type of traffic study, what does it actually show outside of, the ins and outs?
I think full traffic, I'm not the expert, but
Right.
it will show you what we're going to bring. I think it will focus on that intersection they're talking about too, or we can push that. It also will bring up, a certain businesses, what they'll bring, and compare the two, but it will just tell you how much I will bring if I'm an issue or so forth.
I mean, and yes, that is a cost to you as a developer. Yeah, and that's not, it doesn't go back to the city to do that.
Correct.
All right. Any other questions for the? All right, thank you, sir. Okay. So, at this point in time, I'm gonna call discussion for the board only at this point in time. Questions, concerns, comments? I mean, I can go first. The last 2 days I've sat over at Muncie's. Just to see. Right? I mean, I live there. I mean, I know what my own bias is, but I wanted to see numbers. I was like, how does this really affect it? I will tell you, yesterday I sat there for an hour at the 4:30 to 5:30. And, you know, it was, what did I tell you earlier? It was, it only about, I think, 11 or 12% of cars that were turning left could actually flow into traffic without somebody letting them in. You know, today it was about a third of them. The biggest backup I saw at the stop sign up Jerry Crump, you know, was 7 cars, and I'm sure there was probably more else coming. To the point someone made earlier, you know, I saw it backed all the way up to the entrance to the health department. I mean, that intersection is a terrible nightmare, you know, as is. I mean, you know, I have sat there coming, you know, that way for over 10 minutes because you're at the kind of the mercy of whomever is right in front of you, right? Whether they want to let you in or not. You know, it's the hurry up and wait. Everybody gets there. And I'm kind of surprised there's not more accidents that, you know.
I live close to it.
Right.
This is aggravating, and I don't go out that much. I stay at home most of the time. But when I do go out, that is the issue, is that right there.
It's right there.
And, I mean, there's no way around that at this point in time that I can think of unless.
I mean, right.
Infrastructure is a big deal in town. I'm all for improving things, making more stuff, getting more revenue in.
Right.
But this is not going to work as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah,
Not for me.
I mean, I always go back to what Cliff says at Lita. You know, if we're not growing, we're dying. But I think we're at a great point of, you know, we really got this type of growth. Where is it going? Is it the right one? You know, I mean, I see this as a great need. I mean, we see it from, you know, from what you found out today, you know, that there's only 14 available units. I mean, there's a huge need. I think, right. I don't agree with the comment was made that this would be for people from Mecklenburg County. I think these would be people who already work here and can afford a house here currently. And it's, and, you know, see families. You know, one of the things on here that it talks about is for the schools. And schools is always a big thing. S-ray ladder is not at capacity. I mean, like they do have that to if there was an influx of kids, you know, they're not at that 90% or higher. You know, they could take kids in, but at the same time, you know, I think it does need to be looked at, but it's much more on the eastern side.
It's important to look at.
And we can't look at it.
It's important to look at it.
Yeah, but we can't use it as a reason for us to deny or approve, because that's where the county got sued last year for denying 2 projects and saying, hey, the schools are at capacity. We can't, we can't approve this because it would, you know, put us over 100%. They got sued. Courts came back and said, hey, your inability to do your job and not funding things properly is not a reason to deny the development. So I wanted to point that out in here of saying, hey, we can't look at that. I know it's a very good point. You know, we all worry about our schools and, you know, how they're funded and, you know, what's our population, you know, student to teacher ratio. Those are big things. But I wanted to point out to us that, like, to everybody on, that we can't look at that as like as a reason. Sorry, but let's yeah.
Traffic at that intersection, a big enough reason alone to deny this project?
I think it is.
I mean, I think for us, I mean, for me, it's bad. I mean, it's you know, and whether we go for or against it, right, as different members, if he's going to have a traffic study, you know, if he goes that way and he takes it, if he's able to have it for the community meeting, he can talk to it there. But then it goes to the council, right? I mean, you know, we have council members here today who are listening to this. And I think, you know, they would like to see that information. You know, that's because I think it makes it hard for us to make a decision without that information. Exactly. So we kind of have to go, you know, for myself, I have to go off of like, what I see, what I know, and what.
We're
and-
using anecdotal information rather
to an
than
extent,
hard data.
right? Exactly. I mean, now my hard data is that I set it there, and I counted cars, and I said, okay, how far is it going to back up? What's the time period? What's the percentage of people who can actually make that left without someone giving them the gap to pull in? Right, the courtesy. I mean, because to one of the pictures, it shows it perfectly. It's not really that backed up, but you still have somebody that's cockeyed in the intersection.
On the chair, I mean.
Right.
It would seem to me that if there would be any solution related to traffic, it would be, could there be a different exit? Could the exit be?
Those type of developments, period, but
Well,
for single-family homes.
I'm just speaking to traffic.
Right.
And the other thing what we often don't talk about when we talk about traffic is pedestrian traffic. And, no sidewalks.
There's no sidewalk.
Folks that need to cross the street or whatever. It's another issue when we think of traffic, that we need to think of our city being a walkable city. It enhances livability. And so, but my point, just, Steve, on the traffic thing, even with the study, it still puts it at that same intersection. Seems to me the only way you could. The only way
Yeah.
that you could
With Muncie's, with their interest.
mitigate that would be to.
General's Boulevard. And that does make the most sense, because you look at the Oaks, and, it's very well hidden. I mean, I don't think anybody drives by the Oaks and is like, oh, there's an apartment complex. You gotta kind of look there, right? You gotta look to the right, and you're like, or to the left, and you're like, oh, this apartment. It's a much bigger, development what this is. Can you pull that back up to the chart? I think.
The location.
No, the chart with all the different apartment complexes. Because I think that showed, the Oaks is at 112. I mean, it's almost double the size of it. They have a turning lane on North Generals, so it makes it a lot safer, people go in and out. On my side of it right now, I'm like, I think we need housing. I think it's a great plan. I think it's just a poor design where it ends out. And if you're not from here, you don't know this. I mean, you're not there to see it. You just see an intersection. I get it. DOT's telling you, hey, you're not over this threshold. But once again, what we know is the threshold and what we experience, two different things, right? And so when I see this, I know we need housing. Is there, I'd be curious what the traffic study did.
That's fine, but, other than that.
You like where Monty lives?
I like it.
Okay.
They did a good.
Yeah.
It was a good place to put that.
Right.
This is not, I don't think.
I think with the entrance and exit, that's because I think it's everything. It ticks off every box for me, except that. Because I don't think it's fair to these residents. I don't think anybody who's coming down Jerry Crump. I mean, there's to put that extra stuff onto them. As of right now, without the traffic data and see what the traffic study says, and so they can present it at least to council, and so we can understand more of what that is. Because right to your point, we have to go over our experience right now, and does it make sense? When you see this, all the data that says we need this, there's
It's very difficult to turn it down.
Yes.
So growth is needed.
Yes.
This is a tough one.
Yeah. Anyway, any more thoughts?
I've never seen neighbors in favor of a big development. Never.
Right. Yeah. It's very true.
Right.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to stop the building right after they build their house.
Not my backyard, Harry. Yeah, 100%. So if there's nothing else, sorry, I'm gonna close the public hearing now at this point, and I'll entertain a motion for approval or denial of the, sorry, I forgot what the number was. Yeah.
Whichever way y'all vote, if you'll say it the way it's here so that it encompasses all, if it's for approval, you want it to encompass all four. And if it's for denial, you want it to encompass two. If not, you need to make individual motions.
Oh, okay. So if it's approval, it's those, and then for now, it's two different. It's two different ones for denial.
So we're approving all four of those if we approve it all?
If you approve it, those are our standard comments. So just if you approve it, you're approving you're approving recommending to city council. the rezoning from planned business to planned residential development. You would approve the statement of consistency and reasonableness for approval of the rezoning request. The zoning would be effective upon the signed conditions of approval from the applicant, and that the future land use map would be amended to show the parcels in residential high-density planning area. And then if you deny it, you're recommending the following actions: denial of the rezoning of the property from planned business to PRD, and approving the statement of consistency and reasonableness for the, well, I should say denial. That is not, I was not trying to sneak that past y'all. For denial of the rezoning request.
Can we add a fifth condition on the approval?
Which would be?
The traffic study?
That would go. Now, the only thing about the traffic study, you can ask for it, but Jerry Crump is a city road, right? So whatever recommendations, that would be up to the city to approve. South Generals and Country Club are NCDOT. So we can do the traffic impact, you could request the traffic impact analysis. I don't know what DOT, we've never had a situation where we requested one. Like, because DOT felt like it didn't warrant it because it was less than 600 trips. That was the 500 mark.
I think we're at this point,
So
though.
I don't know how that would move forward with DOT and what they would choose to do.
Nobody's gonna like it.
Well, yeah,
Study or not.
you're right. I mean, I think he is a developer. Like, I mean, it's probably in his best interest. He's probably going to do it. I mean, you know, it can either, it's probably going to strengthen his case, you know, I mean, for what he's already seen from DOT. You know, I don't think we need to put a condition on it, because I think he's probably going to do that, to have that information. He'll probably try to have it for the community meeting, and then, or, you know, by city council at least.
So, and I don't live there, in that part of town. I've seen the traffic there, but I don't see it every day.
Yeah.
I make a motion to deny with including staff recommendations, denial of rezoning of the property from PB to PRD, and approve the statement of consistency and reasonableness for denial of the rezoning request.
All right, we have a motion for denial. Do I have a second? And then, all in favor of denial of the request?
Aye.
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 The request is denied at this time. This will go to city council. They will have the final say in this matter. The developer, if you would like to state again when you're having your community meeting, so the people who are here, they can meet with you, and if you have any more information at that point in time, be able to give it to them prior to city council. So I'll let you have the floor real fast if you want to announce it one more time.
April 23rd, next Wednesday, 5:30 to 6:30 at the Lincoln County Senior
Center. That's right. That's in the parking lot with Dollar General and Dollar Tree, right? Yeah, right there in front of it, or right beside it. Sorry. Okay. Gene, is there any other business that we have? All right. After that, if that's it, I will close. Motion to adjourn. Sorry. So moved. Second. Everybody in favor? Aye. All right. We are so adjourned. All right. Thank you.